Hey, today is October 5th. Welcome on in to Daily Cards Live, postseason edition here on ClaibsOnline.com. Brought to you, as always, by Munganess St. Louis Acura, Royal Banks of Missouri. And hey, now that we are into the playoffs, also brought to you by Fast Eddie's Bon Air in Alton, Illinois. Rammer, a happy Albert Pujols Day to you here on the 5th of the month.
Kind of a high five for me. Thank you.
Cardinals played this afternoon, and Rammer, I'll tell you this: there was not a single game in all of baseball today that mattered, that was worth a damn, that mattered towards the standings or anything like that. It was just kind of a game 162 celebration of the season, if you will, to wrap up a year that saw three major milestones happen for three individuals in baseball. Miguel Cabrera getting his 3,000th hit earlier this year, Albert Pujols with his 700th home run, and Aaron Judge finishing with the seventh most home runs in a single season with the number 62.
We talked about the last couple of days, and I actually didn't look at the standings at the end of play today. I don't know if we ended up with any ties.
No.
The last, so it wouldn't have ended up, he needed a playoff anyway, but the tiebreaker system, because of scheduling logistics, taking the place of a game 163, I missed that. And so there's virtually no chance of that ever happening on the last day of the year anymore.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, there will be a year, there will be a time that we will miss it. There's going to be something that happens at some point where we look at it and we go, God, that would have been fun. It would have been fun to see that happen. But you know what? I like I said yesterday on the show, I really think we are going to see this 3-game weekend series. We are going to see just some fantastic baseball being played in one way or another, and it's going to make us realize what always could have been there.
Oh, yeah, well, those two things aren't connected in my mind.
Okay,
it's just because they've jammed so much in that you can't keep playing late and later and later. Yeah, the 3-game series is great. No, I don't think the tiebreaker really has anything to do with that. Yeah, I'm excited. I can't wait to start watching ball on Friday.
And as you say that, I just want to say I did just look at the standings. Both the Braves and the Mets both finished tied at the top of the East, 101 wins. So I guess in a normal year, there would have been a game tomorrow where one team would have won the NL East and the other team would have been a wild card team. So you would have had a scenario. Remember? Yeah.
I missed that.
So, and then, yeah, I mean, in a normal year, that would have been, I guess you would have had a situation where the Mets and Braves would have played each other, and the loser of that game would have then hosted the Padres in a 1-game wild card. So
I love chaos. I love craziness. That would have been great.
And that's one thing as I'm looking here at the schedule for the Cardinals coming up, as we move in now to looking at the postseason. Here's one of those things that is going to come up that you'll hear on the broadcast if they've done their research on it. The Phillies have not been home since September 25th.
Wow.
September 25th. That they played a game, they lost a game to the Braves then. That wrapped up a 4-game series against the Braves. Then they they go from Philly to Chicago, then back to the East Coast to Washington, D.C., then down to Houston, and now up there. I have not seen yet if I can't imagine they would have gone back to Philadelphia and then flown to St. Louis tomorrow, right? Like
teams usually get out after the last game, so they could have gotten on a plane by, let's say, 8:00 tonight. They could have gone home, changed clothes, and then fly out midday tomorrow back to St. Louis. I guess that's possible and not completely unreasonable.
The Phillies
they did.
The Phillies right now, the Phillies media session, then the interview room will be at 2:00 tomorrow.
It's doable, but it probably makes more sense just to come straight to St. Louis.
Right. So that is, I mean, you're going now on almost 2 full weeks of being on the road. living living based off of whatever the equipment manager is helping you with, and suitcases and everything else. It's, what I mean, it's the life that they have chosen. It's not, but at a certain point though, it probably gets a little, a little tiring.
Well, I'm a Cardinal guy. Good.
Tomorrow too, I imagine we will find out what the Cardinals rotation will look like for the 3 games they have coming up this weekend. We do know that Dakota Hudson and JoJo Romero will not be on the playoff roster today in order to put Hicks back on the roster and give him an inning in the game today, and also activate Matthew Liberatore and give him a start on the final day and just kind of rest up some of your regular arms. They did have to send Hudson and Romero down to the minors, and thus they will not be available for the next 15 days.
I didn't know that still applied to postseason.
It does, yeah.
Huh.
And that they actually put that in the press release for it too. They made a point. Yeah, they made a point of letting you know that any moves made on the final day, they still are out for 15 days.
So your roster is what it is.
I mean, there still will be questions. There still will. I mean, Genesis Cabrera, he was with the team this past weekend, was not activated, but Genesis Cabrera is still there. There are still guys, and I mean, if you don't take Liberatore, that doesn't mean Liberatore has to wait 15 days. Now it's only, it's just those 2 guys for that situation that you got to start out of Hudson, you got to start out of Liberatore. So it shows you those 2 guys really weren't in the plans for the team this postseason.
Well, this is not very good for a podcast because we're supposed to know the answers. You go back to 26 men. What kind of limbo are the extra 2 guys in? What about the taxi squad guys? I just don't know all those rules. So shame on us.
We're going to get, I mean, it's, we're going to get answers tomorrow. And I think one big one to look at is, how does Nolan Gorman play into the postseason plans? Because I disagree with that, because we know Tyler O'Neill isn't going to be here, but you're right now, your 28-man roster has Alec Burleson and Ben DeLuzio on it, 2 guys that I don't imagine are going to be on the Cardinals playoff roster.
I think they're both going to be.
Really?
I do.
You're taking Burleson over Gorman?
Yeah. The Cardinals did.
Yes, but they got the at-bats they wanted out of Gorman down in Memphis.
And then
they brought him back on the taxi squad this week.
But not the at-bats they wanted. He did not hit well in September.
I think we also might have to look at numbers that he had against some of these Phillies pitchers, because he was on the team when the Phillies, the 2 times they played the Phillies this year.
That could be true. That could be true. Yeah.
So that is also something to look at. Another big question tomorrow too that I imagine we're going to get answered is, how is Ryan Helsley's finger? As he came out of the game yesterday, just looked like a jammed finger. So that's really, I mean, that's just a case of how much is icing and ibuprofen just relieve the swelling in that.
They got a little mini compression sleeve on it. They'll be doing ice. They'll be manipulating it, massaging it. It'll be an opportunity for him to give the media the middle finger tomorrow and not get in trouble.
A little, maybe a little Costanza. Maybe he saw Danny Tartable at a gas station.
Perhaps.
The start times earlier today were released, and the Cardinals will be playing at 1:07 on Friday, and then 7:37 on Saturday. The time on Sunday is still up for grabs. It's listed right now at 7:37, but
it's likely to be a night game.
Well, yeah, it will be. I think it's between 6:37, 7:07, or 7:37. It's going to be at night. It just depends how many other games there are that they're going up against before we determine that. As expected,
I believe I saw ABC, Friday and ESPN2 Saturday, Sunday. I believe that's what I saw.
That is, you're correct on that. And then obviously that could change on Sunday, depending on, again, how many games there might be on that day. As expected, Tampa Bay and Cleveland, they get the early game pretty much every day. They get the bad time slot every day in their game. And the Padres Mets, that is your marquee matchup in the first round. The Mets are in there. You knew that was going to happen regardless.
Yep, absolutely.
So we will come your way tomorrow afternoon. I know, as I mentioned earlier, there's a lot of media sessions. There's a lot of stuff down at the ballpark. I cannot imagine with the Cardinals, with the traveling that they have been doing here lately, being on the West Coast and then Milwaukee, back home for 3, then back out to Pittsburgh. I'm going to guess they're going to take it kind of easy tomorrow and not do a whole heck of a lot. Same with the Phillies. I can't imagine there's going to be a whole lot of sound bites coming from Bryce Harper and Nick Castellanos tomorrow down at Busch Stadium. Those are going to be guys that are just going to be staying far away from people. And if they're injured, they'll show up and get treatment.
My guess is they probably got to the hotel about midnight here in town if they came to St. Louis. So yeah, sleep in, boys. I don't blame you.
Yeah. So we will be coming your way whenever we get the whenever we get those rosters tomorrow.
That'd be great. I'm very excited.
Yeah, it's playoff baseball, and it's finally here. Games getting started Friday afternoon. Again, down at 1:07 start time down at Busch Stadium for that first one. Which, hey, we talked about it the other day. We saw the shadows come into play on Sunday's game. That was also a little later start time. You got to get a lead early in those games, because it's going to be real hard to see the ball late in games with a 1:00 start time at Busch Stadium with those shadows. So get a good early lead, and then let Gallegos and Helsley come in there and shut the door late.
Yeah, most of the games should be fine, but you're right. As it gets later in the day, the first thing is the sun in the right fielder's eyes, pretty dangerous, and then the shadows. Yeah, you're right.
We bid you a good night for now. Back again tomorrow afternoon here on Daily Cards Live, the postseason edition, brought to you by Fast Eddie's Bon Air, Munganast St. Louis Acura, and Rammer Royal Banks.
Royal Banks of Missouri, where better service means better banking. Never hesitate to give them a call. They'll get you to the right department from whom you need help. 314-212-1500, or go online to royalbanksofmo.com. It's where better service means better banking at Royal Banks of Missouri.
He's Bob Ramsey. I'm Joe Roderick. Talk to you tomorrow right here, ClaibsOnline.com.
St. Louis Acura has an unbeatable selection of new cars arriving daily, like the all-new 2023 Acura Integra. We also have a great selection of over 200 pre-owned and factory precision courtesy vehicles with finance rates as low as 1.9% for 36 months with approved credit. And we've added Saturday service hours to our newly renovated service facility. Don't forget, we'll buy your vehicle here at our dealership or from the convenience of your home. St. Louis Acura, better than ever for you.